I know some of y'all don't have any awareness, but we're going to try to fix that today. Let's jump into it. How do we define awareness in Destiny 2? I'm going to define it like this. It's the ability to predict an enemy's behavior based on the tools that the game provides us. To put that simply, how the hell are you going to win a gunfight if you don't know that the enemy's even there? Well, you can. So we're going to go over a few tips today to help you with that. First up, radar. Radar is a beautiful thing. It tells you where the bad guys are that want to take your lunch money. Pretty sure some of you don't even know what it is. It's that circle in the top left corner with the red pizza slices on it. If you aren't actively fighting, you should be checking this. I check the radar every 2 to 3 seconds if I'm not in an active gunfight. In most quick play matches, I'm running around staring at it until I start seeing some red. Radar can tell you the approximate distance of bad guys who want to kill you. It lets you know if the enemy's starting to push you or if you're soon to be surrounded. The ultimate goal is to keep all the pizza slices in front of you. If you can keep all your enemies in front of you, it makes killing and surviving engagements much easier. Radar can help you predict player behavior. You see a small red sliver that hasn't changed for a few seconds. Might be a sniper waiting for you to peek, or even someone with a pulse trying to lane you. If the red sliver is growing rapidly towards you, hey, might be a shotgunner. You might want to get out of the way. Learn to read these cues from radar. You can proactively put yourself in a better position to win the engagement. Radar can also tell you where your teammates are in respect to you. These are the blueberries on your radar. So if you're looking at the radar and there's no blue dots on it, you probably aren't where you need to be, and you probably should head back to where some of your teammates are so that way you don't get team shotted out. One area that the radar is limited is telling you how many enemies are within a certain pizza slice. The second disadvantage, in my opinion, is having an active radar. It's very easy to get tunnel vision on one pizza slice or one enemy, and you kind of ignore everything else that's going on around you, and it's very easy for you to get baited into multiple people and die. So that's why you have to use some other pieces of information that the game provides you. Number 2, we're going to go over sound cues. And before we get in too deep on this one, make sure that you're actually using a headset and you're not playing the game through a TV or speakers or anything. If you really want to go full try hard, you can turn off the music and just have the actual gameplay sounds coming through. So Destiny 2 sound cues aren't great, but they'll provide a level of awareness that you can't get from radar or just general looking at the screen. So what sounds can we hear that will provide an actionable insight? Almost every action in this game has a unique sound effect that you can hear if you're close enough. This is by far not an exhaustive list or anything of all the sound effects that you can hear in the game, but here are some of the common ones that I use when I'm playing to kind of help me make decisions. And that's when people jump. You can hear people jump. You can tell what class it is depending on the sound of the jump. You can hear footsteps. You can tell if they're walking towards you or going away. You can hear people sliding around. If they're through a wall, like next to you, you can hear if they're sliding around back there. You can hear supers, and you can tell what super it is depending on the sound that it makes, what class they are. You can hear different weapon types. I'm going to know if somebody's sniping a lane because I've heard them shoot my teammate 5 times because they keep strafing out there in the middle of it. Class abilities, you can hear a rift and you know it's a warlock. You can hear a barricade, you can hear dodge. There's a lot of things that you can hear that'll tell you more information about what's going on. I went over what makes sounds and how you can tell different sounds apart or whatever, but let's give examples of what you can do when you hear those sounds. So the big one for me is hearing people jump and knowing when they've jumped. So this happens to me every day when I play. You tag a guy up, he breaks line of sight, he goes around a doorway or a corner or whatever, and he floats the door, he jumps. So this tells me right away, when I push through this doorway, if I push through this doorway, I'm going to have to aim high to finish him off. Or it tells me, hey, he's floating the door, I'm weak, I don't need to push this, he's above me, I don't really know where he is. So it would be really easy for him to come off the top ropes right now and finish me off. So the other thing is a super, or hearing a super. In 6s, you're trying to go on these long streaks, get wee runs or whatever. Hear a super pop, you need to try to run if you can and regroup with your team, because it's hard to kill a super by yourself. But if you have a team, if you have 3 or 4 guys around you, it's pretty easy to knock out a super. They're strong, but 3 or 4 dudes are going to melt a super like that. So those are some of the ways that you can kind of use sound cues to your advantage. All right, number 3, the HUD. The HUD is things that the game just gives you right there on the screen. So your super cooldown, your grenade, melee, class ability, health bar, ammo counters. All this stuff is just things that the game gives you for free, and it's up to you to pay attention to these things. You should be aware of how much health you have going into your next engagement. You don't want to peek a guy if you're not all the way full health yet. You need to be aware of how much ammo you have in your shotgun or your sniper. You don't want to go out there with your hand cannon and you pull it out and it's got 2 bullets. That's not going to work out very well for you. You need to be aware if you're going to get a super or you're going to get a grenade in the next 3 seconds. Like, there's guys pushing me. If I can just stall them for this, maybe 1, 2, 3 seconds, I can get this ability and I can use it and it's going to win the fight for me. I can melee this dude and kill him. I can get knockout. I can get frontal assault. I'll have extra damage for the next 2 guys that I'm about to face, as well as get my health back. These are some of the things that you got to consider while you're playing. The HUD gives you a kill feed that will give you all sorts of good information. It'll tell you when somebody throws a super. It'll tell you when somebody pulls heavy. It'll tell you when your teammates die or when the enemies die. If you see a bunch of enemies have just died at C and you're at A and your whole team's at C, there's probably a good indication that most of those players are about to respawn on top of you. These are things that you need to be aware of. When somebody pulls heavy on the enemy team and you see the little rocket launcher icon, it's a good chance he has Wardcliff. Maybe you should play slow, try to bait this shot out. If somebody pops a super, you got to be careful. You got to get with your team and hopefully you can team shot this super out, or you can maybe run from it. Alright, last tip for this section. Engage with your teammates. You can see and hear when your teammates are engaged in a fight. You should immediately engage the target with your teammate once you see this. There's almost no way that this ends badly for you. The enemy is not going to suddenly start shooting you because they're already engaged with your teammate. This gives you an easy 2v1 that should result in a kill for your team. Alright, last but not least, number 4, map knowledge. Knowledge of the map is essential for building awareness. The main thing we're going to focus on is knowing where safe vantage points are across any given map. Vantage points that are protected from flanks and have easy escape routes if engagements don't go your way. You need to be aware of where heavy spawns in at and how much time is left so you can collect it. Know where the map hot zones are. This is areas of the map where frequent engagements occur. You need to know what the engagement ranges look like for these areas of the map. Is it long range? Is it kind of a mid-range, close range? Because this will determine what weapons you bring and what weapons you currently have out and equipped, ready for your next gunfight. You need to be familiar with the different spawn locations across each map. Knowing when and where the enemy will respawn is always helpful, and keeping all the enemies in front of you. That's what you want to do. You want to keep everybody in front of you. You don't want to get surrounded. You don't want to be on one side of the map and your teammates wipe everybody on the enemy team, and then they all respawn on your side, and then it's just you with no teammates to kind of help you out. So map awareness can keep you from getting swarmed by multiple respawning enemies at once. Alright, that's going to conclude it for today. If you guys found this video helpful, consider giving it a like. I'm going to make some content for Beyond Light, so I'll see you boys soon.